Ollie Cross, Chapter 8. On Christmas night, Nan and I had leftover turkey and cranberry sandwiches and stayed up late watching the Wizards-Knicks game. We're both Wizards fanatics and Knicks haters, so it bummed us out when the New Yorkers won. I hate to say it, Nana complained, but that sucked. Now, Ollie, you forget I ever said that. I forced myself not to laugh out loud. Said what? The next morning my dad woke me up before 7 a.m. I groaned. Seriously? 7 o'clock? On my vacation? Why? Seriously, 7 o'clock? Because I can. Besides, you're too young to need a vacation, Dad told me. Anyway, it turned out great. We had breakfast at Armando's. It's a huge special deal for me to eat out with Dad, just the two of us. Armando's has the best pancakes with strawberries and peaches, and that's what I had. Dad had a big platter of huevos rancheros. When we finished, and I was groaning from happiness and an overfull belly, Dad dropped a little bomb on me. We're going to go meet with the Detective Sutter about Gabe. Ali, I want you to do a whole lot of listening and not much talking. She's the detective, not you. We clear? I sat up right away. We're clear. We're good. We're great, and thank you for this, I said. This was exactly what I'd been hoping for, and I couldn't wait to get there. The Youth Service Division of the Metro Police Department was in an old converted high school on Hayes Street in Northeast D.C. Inside, it was exciting to walk through the bullpen where all the detectives had their desks. I wanted to know what every single one of them was working on, even though I was there for just one reason, to find out as much as I could about Gabe's case. Hey, Cross, one guy said as we passed through. How you hanging in there? I'm hanging, Dad said. Keep the faith, man. We're behind you, he said. Thanks. Dad told him, but that was all he said. I knew that didn't mean the whole department was behind him, but at least a lot of these detectives were. Either way, I could tell Dad didn't want to talk about his upcoming trial, maybe because I was there, or maybe because we had other business to get to. We kept moving and came to a little meeting room where Detective Sutter was already waiting for us. She got up and shook my hand when we walked in. Thanks for coming, Ollie, she said. We have a lot to talk about. I thought so too, and even though I didn't mean to jump right in with a question, it was kind of like a question jumped out of me. They do that sometimes. Do you know if Gabe ran away? I asked. Or do you think maybe someone snatched him up? For me, that was the core of it right now. 5 days missing was one thing if Gabe made himself disappear. But if someone had taken him and hadn't sent back any word in all that time about ransom or anything, that was a whole lot closer to a worst-case scenario. Detective Sutter didn't answer right away. She looked at Dad first, and he nodded at the detective to go ahead. Kidnapping's very rare, she said. It's much more likely Gabe took off for whatever reason of his own. We think he's in the general area based on his phone pinging off the cell towers, but we haven't been able to track it to a specific location because it's turned off most of the time. And we don't know if it's still in his possession, so it could be anywhere. That was somewhere around a 5 on a scale of 10 for reassurance, but I guess it was as much as she could tell me. Which, of course, made me wonder, what wasn't she telling me? Not that I could ask that one. Dad and I sat in metal chairs on one side of the big table across from the detective. The only other thing in that room was a camera up on the corner, but I noticed the little red light wasn't on. I guess that meant they weren't recording, probably because I wasn't a suspect. Let's start with the day Gabe disappeared, Detective Sutter said. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary that afternoon? Anything unusual in the way Gabe was acting? Not in a bad way, I said. What does that mean? I mean, Gabe just kind of is unusual. My great-grandma says he marches to his own drummer, but I think he's just quiet. Or shy. Both, I guess. I always thought if Gabe had a superpower, it'd be invisibility, if you know what I mean. Not really, Sutter told me. Can you say something more about that? Well, I didn't really want to talk about Gabe. Excuse me, sorry. Behind his back. But it was important to tell the truth. It's like he spends a lot of energy just working on not being noticed. He doesn't even eat lunch with me and my friends at school. Oh, where does he eat lunch? I shrugged because I didn't know. It had bothered me at first when he asked him to eat with us and he'd shake his head, but I figured after a while it wasn't anything against us. That's kind of the point. He mostly keeps to himself. I think he He's like some kind of genius, if you ask me. It's like his brain runs harder than anyone I know. Except maybe yours, Dad said, which was kind of embarrassing. I never call myself a genius, but at the same time, Gabe and I were kind of like that way. Always thinking hard about something or another. I'd seen him in school sometimes staring into space, and I could just tell he was working on some new invention or idea or whatever else, only because I was the same way. Was I the last one to see him before he disappeared? I asked. I'm not sure, Detective Sutter told me, and then kept going. So you said he was supposed to meet you online that night. Where was that going to happen? In Outpost, I said. Excuse me? Dad stepped in front of her in for that one. It's a video game. Ollie and his friends play it constantly. Detective Sutter wrote a note in her file. And he never showed up for the game? She asked. Nope. And he hasn't been online since then, at least not at the same time as me. He hasn't answered any of my messages or texts either, I said. Do you know if his phone is still working? We've submitted a subpoena to his carrier, she told me. There should be some word soon, but if he took out the SIM card, or if someone destroyed it, then that's going to be a dead end. I knew that much myself. Once you take the SIM card out of the phone, it stops pinging off cell towers, and then there's no way to track it. Gabe would have known it, too. He was pretty smart enough to make sure nobody was spying on him, if that's what he wanted. Why does it take so long to get that info? I started to ask, but Detective Sutter cut me off right away. Ali, she said, I know you're eager to get as much information as you can, but I really need you to focus on my questions right now. Do you think you can do that for me? It was kind of embarrassing. Dad was looking at me like I'd forgotten the instruction he'd given me back at the restaurant, which I basically had. Obviously, I was going to help the investigation however I could. It was just hard keeping my own questions to myself. After that, Detective Sutter asked if Gabe was having any problems at home. I didn't know. If he had a second phone. Not that I knew about. And if he'd ever had a girlfriend or boyfriend. Not even close. She asked a bunch of questions about gaming too, like what else Gabe played, and when he was online, and what his screen name was. I knew what she was getting at with the gaming stuff. Dad gave me the online safety lecture all the time about how predators come after kids that way, and how easy it is to pose as someone else on the internet. I didn't know if Gabe was careful with that stuff, but I did know he basically lived for Outpost. He spent more time in that game than anyone I knew. And finally, Detective Sutter closed her file and looked me right in the eye. I want you to know we're doing everything we can to find your friend, she said. I mean it, Ollie. This case is important to me. I believed her too. I know how seriously Dad takes his job, but I also don't know that he doesn't get a win every time. That's just not how it works. Meanwhile, the clock was ticking, and every day Gabe stayed missing, the trail was going to get a little colder. Maybe I wasn't going to get all the answers I was hoping for from Detective Sutter, but that didn't mean I was out of all questions. Just the opposite. I still had about 1 million of them, and as far as I was concerned, I was going to keep on looking for some answers of my own.